bipartisan bill in the California State Assembly would impose a minimum age requirement for social media accounts, and it now seems to have the support of Governor Gavin Newsom.
He told reporters the other day, quote, "We need help. I think it's long overdue that we're having the debate. It's something that I'm very grateful that we are debating and pursuing at the state level."
Spokesperson later confirmed to Politico that the governor would support restrictions similar to those passed in Australia last year, where kids under the age of 16 were banned from creating or using social media accounts. Now, this is not the first time Newsom has stepped into this debate. Here he was during his State of the State address in January.
I'm proud of all of you. I'm proud of California's leadership, leading the nation in kids' online safety. Thanks to laws that you've passed, including many that I had the privilege of signing just last year on age verification, on chatbot safety, on parental controls. But recently, you saw the headlines. You may have reacted, some of you a little bit more than others, to some of those headlines in Australia. Started making you think, are we doing enough? Can we do more?
The bill in question doesn't specify an exact age requirement, but those in favor of the legislation appear to generally support following Australia's lead in making the cutoff age 16. But any attempt at such a ban would likely face swift backlash from tech companies. In fact, companies like Google, TikTok, and Meta are already suing the state over a 2024 law that requires kids to get parental consent before being able to view personalized content on their social media feeds. Newsom took to his own social media on Saturday to reiterate his support and to take another shot at President Trump. A post from his governor's press office account reads, quote, "Bad news for child predators. They'll soon lose access to kids on the platforms they use to groom them. Expect Donald Trump to have their back."
Governor's comments did garner some support online, but the idea of a social media ban is proving to be very divisive. Attorney Costas Moros says in a post on X, "Ultra super rare Newsom win. Social media is doing extensive damage to kids. Of course, I have zero confidence Newsom could effectuate this in a way that doesn't harm the rights of adults in the process." Tech lawyer Preston Byrne writes, "Instead of taking his kid's phone and changing some very basic settings, an act which is entirely within his personal control and would take him 3 minutes, he wants to take everyone's constitutional rights away." And this, I agree with Preston Byrne. This is exactly what it's really about. It's about violating the First Amendment rights of young people who enjoy First Amendment rights.
Oh
This bill, if this became law, would be taken up to the Supreme Court, and the same Supreme Court that just said the president does not have the power to issue tariffs, that's Congress's job, will say similarly, the state of California does not have the power to violate the First Amendment rights of 15-year-olds. There's no age limit on the First Amendment. And they've already ruled on this with respect to, very similarly, it was California again, violent video games. You probably remember the decision from 20 years ago. That decision was authored by Antonin Scalia, the arch conservative on the Supreme Court, who said violent video games are a form of expressive speech. They could be violent, but Grimm's fairy tales are also violent, and it's obvious that the government could not prohibit literature from being shown to kids. So in that same way, the government cannot go around parents. If parents don't want their kids on social media, they can stop their kids from using social media. They can not buy them phones. They can forbid them from having social media accounts. That's on parents and families, not on the government. So it's as simple as that. Even if it was a good idea to do this, which I highly doubt, it would be unconstitutional.
Thinking it might be a good idea. I see it a little corner.
No, I don't think it would be a good idea.
It might be good to protect kids.
It might be. Even if it was a good idea, it's still it's still unconstitutional.
Look, I'm all for this. You already know how I feel. I think adults should have any access to social media, completely unobstructed access. I think kids are very, I don't know. I just think it's really not good for kids from all the studies. And I've listened to psychologists and people that put out studies. I listened to Pew Research that says 48% of teens have a mostly negative effect or experience
but
on
the
social
Constitution
media.
doesn't say unless psychologists disagree.
No, I understand that. But I just think that because Meta's in the middle of a lawsuit, the app is actually programming to take advantage in a gamble-style way of people that has led to depression in somebody like the person suing Meta, KGM, about this. We have yet to see
First
deep
Amendment also doesn't say
implications.
unless there's some
No, I'm
depression
okay.
involved
I'm
or
just telling you.
something.
So unless they want to get sued every single day of their life, maybe they should just do the right thing when it comes to children. Make sure that they're not just getting unregulated ads that are sent their way, that are sending the wrong messaging to kids. Like, we protect kids in the same way we don't let them gamble or take cigarettes at 16. So it should be an adult decision to be
Cigarettes are not
on
speech.
Gambling is a fun little pastime that a lot of adults do, but it can be addicting.
Social media
and
is just
parents,
reading.
it's programmed to be addictive in the same way that gambling is.
We should
And so
recite
we
the
should make
exact text
sure.
of the First Amendment, which
No,
is Congress
we should put the same
shall
laws
make
about gambling
no
on social media.
law abridging freedom of speech, and subsequent amendments applied that to the states as well. So the state shall make no law abridging the freedom of speech. Pretty clear
There's a
what
lot.
they can and cannot do.
Yeah, I disagree. I think
This
that if
would
we
be
look at
abridging freedom
Australia
of
and the
speech.
way that
They don't
kids
have a
are
First Amendment.
okay, but kids are having nice lives over there. I think as a parent, I'm leaning in the same way that you see a lot of Maha parents that are leaning in to give kids the healthiest options. I want to give them the mentally healthiest options as
then
well.
don't give your
And
kids a
so,
phone.
yes, but also you have to remember, you say it so easily, like don't give your kids a phone. Say you just simply give your kid a phone to contact you, and you do all the simple settings that people refer to that block their access to certain apps. Do you think that kids that are younger than you and technologically savvy and born in this culture can't find their way to skirt around whatever settings their parents put on their phone? You
then
think
you
a 16-year-old can't figure that out?
You think they can't figure out how to skirt an age verification system as well? That's why this is also stupid. They'll get if they can get around it, they can get around that too. So it's not really solving a problem. What it is creating a system where we'll all have to, because there's no way to just verify for kids, where we'll all have to verify our age to use social media. We'll have to put information into the social media site. People, for privacy reasons, might not want to do that. That's not something I would have the government mandate, but that's where we'll have to go. What? So to stop, we're not even going to stop kids from doing it if they really want to, by your very logic.
I'm not mad about the government trying to have oversight on social media companies that are kind of moving however they like to move. I mean, it's the same conversation that we had for your radar about AI and the fact that we can't control it. And so it's just kind of spiraling out of control and is going to leave people in the dust and poorly affected. The same thing with technology when it comes to social media apps. They started as a way to connect with people in any country, any city, and have dialogue. And it really was this connection tool. It turned into this manipulative money-making machine that now preys on impressionable young minds. And so there should be oversight about what they're doing. They're programming apps
Are we
to
preying
be
on
more.
young minds?
No, they're programming
our videos
apps.
are available on a social media platform. Is it
Not on
because we're trying
YouTube
to
Kids.
manipulate?
Kinsley has YouTube Kids, and she's using it that way. But it still
I don't
have
think
more
there'd be
oversight.
anything wrong
The
for
commercials
kids to watch
on there.
our show. I don't think it's
but-
harmful content.
But
We're trying to make people
Meta
better
is
informed.
currently being accused of programming its app in the same way that people program gambling machines. And that means that they constantly have these addictive qualities that make kids who don't have the same discernment as adults
They're not taking money from
obsessed
kids.
with going
Facebook
on there.
doesn't cost anything. It's not. It's not taking any money. It's
I think
not,
when you talk about affecting kids' sleep, when you talk about mental health decline, when you talk about addictive behavior, when you talk about the body image and social anxiety that it caused, all that therapists and psychologists have discussed, we can't skirt over that because we don't care because it's free speech. We should protect children.
the magazines you pick up at the supermarket that promote a very specific type of woman that can cause negative body image associations. The government couldn't ban those either if they tried, because that would be even more obviously free
But kids
speech.
use phones to get in touch with emergency contacts, family and friends. So the phone
They
has
use
more than
phone
one.
for a lot.
Exactly. So there's no way to really say don't give your kid a phone, particularly if you need to get in touch with them as you pick them up in today's fast-moving society from school and other places. So why?
What counts as social media? So you'd require them, or you'd ban. I'm sorry, we're banning them. We're banning them from
Until
using
they're 16. Yeah.
Facebook
Everything.
and X
TikTok.
and
Keep going.
TikTok and Instagram and YouTube, Google.
Maybe YouTube Kids.
Maybe what are we doing then?
Maybe YouTube Kids
You,
is fine.
Lindsay, dictator,
YouTube.
queen of the earth, gets to decide
Dictator.
whether YouTube or TikTok is like these are.
No, I care about some over.
So arbitrary.
No, I want to see Mark Zuckerberg sit down with parents. I mean, sit down with government leaders that say,
I wanna see people
stop
take
putting
responsibility
addictive.
for
No,
their own
okay, so
kids.
maybe if there are people under 16 on the app, maybe you shouldn't have that gambling style quality in there that makes people addicted to it and tries to intentionally keep people hooked on and endless scrolling. I mean, there's tactics that they use
Okay,
to make
well, then
people
there's a lot
addicted.
of other things that
So
maybe
they
we can look into, but banning. This is an outright ban on anyone using social
Start
media
dramatic.
under the age of 16.
You never heard the saying like shoot for the stars, you might reach the clouds. Okay, there you go. They're shooting and aiming high. Let's at least come to some discretion from people like Mark Zuckerberg that protects young people. That could be a happy middle ground.
I think suddenly cutting off all access that 15-year-olds have to news and information, because the vast majority of them who get news and information are getting it from Instagram or TikTok, to suddenly take that away from them would not make is not setting us up to have a society of smart young people.
Is the vast majority using social media for news and information? Is that what they're using it for mostly?
They're getting news and information.
Yeah, they're getting it, but that's not what they're on there for. They're on there dancing around, doing makeup tutorials, playing games, comparing themselves to other people. Like, that's what young people use social media
most
for.
of those things you just said, I don't know, are necessarily bad in small doses. Look.
It's not small doses, though. They're set up to be addicting, so you're on there for hours.
Okay, but that's not the proposal. The proposal is suddenly yanking access to this away from all of them, millions of them simultaneously, which to me is insane.
I think,
it's
Bobby,
insane.
I think you're going to have a kid someday, and you might scale back your perspective on this as you try your best to protect them.
I won't scale back my perspective on what the First Amendment prescribes.
No, you might scale back your perspective on how they're protected when using these apps that you can't control when they're out of your exact vision. And that's just the case of when kids go to school, they're out of your sight for 8 hours a day. So you want to
When I get too annoyed when people in my vicinity are using social media too much or too much on their phone, I take the phone out of their hands, I throw it across the room, and I say, touch that again and I'll kill you. So that's my solution. No, we don't need to bring in the government again.
He's going to be dad of the year.
Up next, we'll look at Tucker Carlson's interview of Mike Huckabee and his controversial comments about Israel. Stay with us.